All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Let's go. Thursday, May 7th. S&Ps are trying to trend upward. Let's go. Everything else set. Sure, everything's in view. So nothing in terms of large transactions on the S&Ps pre-market. Not surprising. I'm going to be interested to see what type of volume we open with up in these levels. Yesterday, we kind of left balance, trended upwards a little bit. Not the greatest looking trend day, to be quite honest, but pretty good. Ended up with a flat top on the distribution, and that likely represents that the auction may be incomplete. But a lot of this was done with market on close orders, so I don't know really how much we can read into that. Potentially there's balance today. Potentially there's trend continuation today. There's a lot of things that potentially could happen today. You could reverse today too, right? Because now we're up in an area where there's not a lot of longer term structure to trade within, right? We don't have like any overlapped areas of balance, right? These are just short term intraday balanced areas, which are reference point, but they're not the best reference points for long term kind of like thesis development. So, still overly bullish on S&Ps, right? Just because of what we've been seeing with balance and then leaving balance, trying to test lower, getting rejected, testing higher, finding some balance. So, I think the overall thesis remains intact. You definitely have to keep an eye on the Iran situation today because potentially there's going to be a memo or an agreement to a one-page memo today. There's a lot of speculation going around about that. Crude oil has been drifting down this morning, down about 4%. S&Ps are just about flat from where we closed yesterday, just slightly above yesterday's range. So let's kind of see where the order flow takes us a little bit today. While I am overarching bullish, you got to keep a hopeful mind here, I think, just because of what's going on with Iran and everything else. So let's see where things kind of take us today. S&Ps pretty much have been chopping back and forth since like 8 o'clock this morning. All right, it was really no news at 8:30. No planned economic releases for the day, just potential for news to come out regarding Iran that will absolutely send the markets spinning one way or the other. So let's kind of see what we develop here at the open. Give it a little wiggle room, give it a little time. See where we accept and reject from, see if we get any large orders coming in. Where is the absorption coming in? Those are the things that we're kind of be looking for this morning at the open. And I don't want to get just jumping right in. Lots of absorption. You look at the weekly distribution, there was a lot of absorption going into the close yesterday. All right, at 395. So potentially we don't get below 395 today, right? We're on top of that absorption. This is a pretty heavy absorption number. Market on open and balance was just 23 million, insignificant. Just might as well just have been a zero number. So inventory, kind of flat from overnight, right? Because we're opening right where we closed from yesterday. Even though I don't weigh overnight inventory very heavily in my analysis, it's just something to be mindful of. So pre-market kind of swing low here around 396 and 395, which is top of the absorption point yesterday. I would think if you're bullish, you really don't want to get back below that absorption and back below this little distribution node here at 395. If you're ultimately bullish, and this is a trended weekly distribution where we have these pretty well-defined low volume areas, like you're going to stop here at 395 and 396 this morning, I would think. Right? If trend was the likely scenario for the day, I think that's what it kind of would look like. I don't think you'd really get below 395 in this low volume area. All right on top of this ledge. Yeah, we'll see though. But these are pretty clean. These low volume areas around 390, 385, that's pretty clean. That represents pretty good trends. But we'll give things a little bit of wiggle room this morning. Let the opening auction play out. I do want to peek at volume in the first minute though first. Oh my lord, 9,942. That is super light, folks. That is super light volume. So that what that kind of tells me is that at the open, where there's a lot of liquidity, not a lot of people were interested in trading at these levels. Right? If you were truly bullish here, you would absolutely be all over this 395, and there would have been a ton of volume at the open. There's not a ton of volume at the open. Right? So I think we do now slip back into one of these previous distributive ranges here on the weekly distribution. I mean, maybe we just hang out here and try to find some balance at 395. I mean, that's pretty constructive for the markets if you're a bull, is just to balance and not reverse. Like if you're bullish, you absolutely prefer a trend, but you'll take balance here at these elevated prices. You just don't want to see a reversal. Then you don't want to see a reversal hard through yesterday's ranges, right? Because that means we couldn't find balance up above the balance at 7,300, which we might not. So oil's kind of flat at the open. It's not doing anything. Yep, it's not doing anything. S&Ps are moving a little bit. We had pretty big absorption print here. The volume's coming in, is pushing things down for the most part. So it's at 395 here. And we kind of fell below our pre-market swing low. But pre-market, again, we don't want to weigh that information too heavily. I'm more interested in what develops here during the US auction than I am what developed overnight during European or Asia sessions. It's interesting, but not really relevant to what we're trying to do. All the volume is in the US session, not in the European session. So one large buy at 395 and a quarter for 120 contracts, right? Which is right here. It's probably marking a swing high. It is interesting that we now have a flat top in this auction today that we had yesterday, right? 395 seems to be an important number to someone with size. So we'll see if that represents like a little swing high here. All right, more sellers following you lower. I don't just want to blindly sell this. I mean, overall, we're trending upwards. I don't think where we're at right now is a very good sell. All right, this very small, narrow range. Even though that opening auction in the opening minute with only 9,000 contracts, like that's the lowest I've seen in a very long time. Not a very long time, but it's been a hot minute. It's been probably several weeks since I've seen a print below 10,000. So volume coming in at developed POC, pushing things down. It's pretty bearish order flow thus far. I don't really want to try to pick a reversal spot to go long here just yet. And this negative order flow just might be overwhelming, right? Sellers are following you down a little bit here. And that's not good news if you're bullish here. All right, we'll see if we resist this low volume area at 390. This is a better developed low volume area, right? You got smoothness on both sides. All right, this is a low volume area that was just developed without a complete auction. These are low volume areas that have completed the auction, so they tend to be better reference points. So let's just kind of keep an eye on this 391 and see how we come into this level. I don't know if I just want to wholesale blindly buy a seller at 392 for 110 contracts. So the buyer marks a little bit of a swing high. Sellers are coming in a little bit lower. They're trying to absorb price. Volume is coming in at the lows, is trying to lift things, but not getting a super clean, quick rejection here off the lows. All right. Yeah, it's just not my favorite looking thing right here to be long, to be quite honest. The sellers are following you lower. The volume's coming in. It's not really lifting price. There was a small little attempt, but I mean, this was no quick rejection by any stretch of the imagination. I would think a better long is if we maybe get back above this POC here in this 395, right? There's a lot of volume that came in here and pushed things lower. Yeah, you have some volume holding it up here. But sellers are meeting the buyers here. I mean, these 404, that's pretty heavy print at the open, 165. You know, there's some size. You know, it's not like 20. And you haven't seen any signs of the buyer absorption. You broke the previous range swing low. Any attempt to get back up into that range had volume come in and push you out of it. So the flow, I mean, is leaning bearish here, right? So we got to give this a little more time, right? Because you're kind of looking for longs and potentially in this area at 390, right? 392, 391. So if you get a bullish order flow flip like you just got here, is that your catalyst to take something long here? And then where are you kind of taking it up to? All right, so I think the better idea is to wait for a break of 395 rather than just saying, hey, let's get long here on just the candle volume notion of order flow, right? Where volume comes in and lifts price. Because you got this seller absorption here. It's just coming in and it's just holding things down, right? So as much as this is a good buy, there's sellers that are absolutely willing to meet you here at the bottom of the range, which is not good if you're a bull, I wouldn't think. So still a seller at 392. They might mark the swings right here, right? So you had the buyer at 395 and a quarter, and then you had the seller at 392. So you're kind of stuck in between those two ranges right now. Crude is absolutely going nowhere this morning, and I would expect or suspect that's because of Iran and waiting for this one-page memo to get out. Right. Everyone just agrees like, hey, this is until that news comes out, this is just a fair price. Until that news comes out, we're not doing anything. So I think until there's any development in Iran war news, you can't really trade crude. At least I don't think. So volume coming in kind of the same area, the 394s, 395s, trying to push things down. Very tight ranges, right? We're in a 9-point range this morning, right? And this also could be consolidation due to the fact that everyone's anticipating some Iran war update today. I know Trump is meeting the Brazilian president at 11. He's probably going to talk about Iran. So there'll be probably some volatility around 11 o'clock or thereafter. But this isn't a very quick rejection off the 390 lows, right? You wouldn't be immediately coming back down here. I wouldn't think. But again, the volume coming in and pushing things up, it's hard to ignore, right? And you're kind of breaking this absorption here. But again, I think the better play is to wait for a break of 395. Let's not trade within this 395 to 392 range. There's just too much chop here. The absorption on the sellers keeps coming in. You're not quickly really rejecting this 392. You're getting a lot of rotational overlap here, right? This is time accepting. It's not a quick rejection. So I don't like longs here, honestly, anymore. And then the question becomes, well, if we're not really going to continue the trend today, we're going to find balance hopefully somewhere where we're going to find balance. All right, I don't get trend continuation vibes just yet. But it could absolutely trend once the Iran war update comes out. But to have seller absorption right there at the the lows, the volume that comes in can hold price, but it's not exactly lifting. So buyers are hitting the buy button here, but they're not following through. Yeah, it could potentially just be a balanced day today. I don't know. We'll see. We'll give it a little more time to think things through. Volume coming in at the POC, push things down a little bit. No, I was about to say no other large transactions. Another seller at 391.25 for 166 contracts. So we have a seller at 392 and a seller at 391.25. But you're still definitely not getting a quick rejection off the lows, and the volume that's coming in is still suppressing price. So I mean, like the overall thesis is bullish, and then potentially maybe what the trade idea is here is just really waiting for this order flow to flip to a bullish stance, and then you get behind it. But the question becomes, where is the market going to find a bottom here? We don't really seem to be resisting through the 390 low volume area very hard. All right, volume's still coming in and pushing things down ever so slightly, but it's still pushing things down. All the volume's coming in at the high of the candle of the open. I mean, potentially you find resistance at the high volume node at 388. Maybe. Like crude is an absolute nothing burger this morning. It is still flat. Yeah, absolute nothing. All right, last of the sellers is at 392. I mean, you feel like it'd be easier for the bears at these elevated prices, right? As soon as you start leaning on things a little bit, you would think there would be a lot of buyers just quick to take profits. I don't get that impression here. Like you're just ever so slowly moving lower. Absorption reappears, right? You just have not hit an environment that says you should be long. We're kind of in the area that suggested it, right? The low volume area on the weekly distribution at 390 potentially was going to offer support, but this is not what that would look like, I don't think. I think the rejection would be cleaner, and I think most of the volume on these bars would be at the absolute lows. And you'd also have some sign of buyer absorption. You have absolutely none. Yeah, it's just a lot of chop here around 392 and stuff. I mean, we can break some seller absorption. Get above this 394, 395 area. I mean, that'll be a pretty nice sign for a bull entry. But not there yet. Not there yet. Looks like oil's trying to move away from its consolidated range here. I don't see that there's any war updates. All right, oil's moving though. And S&Ps are dropping now. Yeah, outside of any news release or news updates on Iran, I don't think we can trade oil. I don't think. We'll see. So volume coming in, trying to push S&Ps down. Didn't get very far. Right, you came right back into value pretty quickly here, folks. No large sellers on that decline. But I think until we break absorption here, the seller absorption at 393, I don't think we can take a long. Even though this is pretty constructive, right? This isn't just an absolute breakdown. And we're kind of looking at this 388 level as well. So somewhere in this 390, 388, potentially the market actually just fills this range in today, right? We have swing highs at 393 and we have swing lows at 387, right? And we just grind here for a little bit, filling in a bunch of volume. that potentially could happen today. And this becomes the balance after the trend up yesterday. There's several potentials for today. Like there's an overall bullish narrative in equities, but you have some pretty bearish order flow here at the open. Oil is moving up a little quicker now. Some volume coming in, so S&Ps are now dropping. Couldn't get back into value here. Right? So then we didn't find support in really any of the areas we would thought to find support up here at 390 and 388. You're underneath both those now. Another seller at 386.50. No signs of buyer absorption. But it's not like a meltdown either, right? These ranges, 1 minute ranges, are heavily overlapped. Volume comes in and still kind of pushing you down a little bit. No signs of buyer absorption. All large institutional orders with over 100 contracts, all on the sell side. You're not quickly rejecting this. Oil backed off a little bit. Just gonna keep my eyes on S&Ps for the time being. Yeah, I mean this flow is definitely bearish. But the question becomes, does this bearishness just result in a balanced day, or does this bearishness reverse yesterday's trend? If it reverses yesterday's trend, there's trouble, because you're probably going to go back down to at least 280, if not 150, where you had previous longer term composite balance. No headlines. All is quiet on the news front, which is, I guess, good, but you kind of want the news behind us. You want them to, just settle everything about Iran and then let us get on with our business. Just a slow, steady decline. Like there's a good amount of activity on the offer on this decline, right? So there is people buying as things come down. Volume coming in around 384 seems to be bullish, right? And that's on the underside of this distribution, right? So maybe, one of the theories we talked about, potentially just finding balance in between the 394 and the 388s. Yeah, I mean, this might be the lower bound of that trade. But until you start getting better order flow signals confirming bullishness here, I just hands off for now. Hands off. This is no place to short either. And just from the structure of the TPOs and stuff and what we've seen with the distributions over the last few days and even 2 weeks, it's very hard to be bearish. All right, when you test lower, quickly reject, find balance when you test higher. I mean, that is bullishness defined by auction theory, 100%. So volume coming in at 385 is holding things up, or at least it was trying to. Oil's chilled out. So oil just had a little bit of a pop from like 91 and a quarter up to 92, and now it's just sitting there. But this isn't a very quick rejection off 384. I suspect if this was truly the bullish level, that you would have just quickly rejected here and not looked back. But the fact that you're now overlapping these rotations down here, it seems more like acceptance to me, right? We're out of value for the day. Weekly value highs at 390, right? Which overlaps the value area low from today. So this isn't a long. No other large transactions on S&Ps. Crude is still relatively flat at a little over 92 at 92.15. S&P is trying to push up above the 388 distribution into 390 low volume area, and that aligns with the weekly value area high and the daily value area low. That could be a point of significance today, this 390. I mean, potentially there's a sell in here. If we get into 390s and there's just, massive bearish order flow. But I mean, this looks pretty bad as of right now for longs. Looks pretty bad. Yeah, boring market this morning. So far, just a very balanced range as we wait for updates on news. Trying to break the first level of buyer absorption here. The volume's coming in at the highs and pushing things lower. I'm getting a little ledge developed here at 387. No signs of buyer absorption. You got seller absorption. Sellers have been selling. Only one of them's underwater. Trying to break the seller absorption down here at 387 in that ledge. Buyer at 389 and a quarter on S&Ps. So we're trying to get back up into this 390s. Yeah, I don't think a long at 384 was justified. You hung outside value too long. There's a lot of overlapped rotations. We get signs of seller absorption, no signs of buyer absorption. Created a lower range. So crude looks like it wants to reverse. Right, it had a little pop up. Now it's like, hey, nope, just kidding. Coming right back. So it looks like it's coming back into its little pre-market consolidated range. So I'll leave that one alone for now. All right, finally getting the first signs of buyer absorption today. Be interested to see what happens if you try to test back outside of value here. All right, can you even get the test back outside of value? But bullish flow, bearish flow, bullish flow, bullish flow, bullish flow. So they're trying to turn it, and he did break some seller absorption here. I mean, this is a pretty well seller absorbed defined range here at 387, right? Which now aligns with out of value. So the ideal scenario is, yeah, come back down here and test this and quickly reject 387 and out of value again at the 388 high volume node area. And I think that's a good long trade. I really do. But I think some of those things need to happen first. I'd be really disgusted if this is easily and cleanly breaks 393, that this 395 swing high with all the absorption, and then just never offers any sort of retracement or structure to get long at. That'd be the worst. But yeah, it does look like crude is back down into its like 91 and a quarter consolidated range. S&P's potentially attempting to turn the trend around. We've now got buyer absorption on top of seller absorption. We're now back within value. Probably spent a little too much time outside of value. I don't know. Getting long at 390 is wise right in the middle of this low volume area on the weekly distribution. I mean, it kind of looks like we're just filling this area in now, right? So longs at 388 and below, shorts at 395 and below. That's pretty tight range that you'd want to fill in. So maybe that's not it. Maybe that's just too tight. So testing this 388 high volume kind of peak. And below that, the volume drifts off pretty quickly. See if you get a quick rejection here. Doesn't look like you are. So failure to reclaim the POC. Volume that came in pushed things down. No signs of buyers coming in to take it. Pretty bearish. Time to wake up. Time to run. Fuck off. Ain't time to do shit, bro. So I don't know. This order flow is just killing us right now, right? We want it to flip bullish, but it's just not doing it. It had signs of doing it here, but then we were like, okay, well, test 388 and see what happens there, and it just failed that test for sure. But again, I don't expect like a whole lot to happen until you get some clarification on this Iran war memo agreement or whatever the fuck they're calling it. And I don't think there's any updates on that. And Trump's meeting with Brazilian president at 11 o'clock this morning. Maybe there's an update then. I don't know. Take a peek at NASDAQ. What's NASDAQ doing this morning? No, NASDAQ's just trying to, it's being actually not. It's just making a new swing low and a new swing high. It's a little all over the place. Like ES did a better directional move this morning than NQ did. NQ just went kind of back and forth at the open. Lots of volatility. Lots of range. I don't like trading NQ. It's pretty illiquid. Liquid markets tend to have a lot of volatility that has nothing to do with providing market liquidity. It's because it's so illiquid, prices can jump around. You don't really want that as a trader. All the volume that's coming in here is coming in at the highs, folks. It's coming in at the highs. But you went back out of value, you came back into value. Right? If this was really bearish, would you have gotten back into value here? Wouldn't you cleanly reject getting back into value and come back out? Yeah, you failed to get back to the POC. And, volume here, list price, volume here, holds price. Like, I don't like the idea of shorting these markets, honestly. I just don't. It's just like there's so much strength behind it. I mean, it could be artificial strength. Who the fuck knows? But the markets just keep getting bought up. Any attempts to break outside of value are just not working today. All right, this is, you got some bullish flow last time where you saw some bearish flow. So let's see what happens here at 390 again. And I'm reluctant to take a trade, especially a long trade on the underside of the low volume area, right? We're not coming down into the low volume area and test it. We're coming up into the low volume area to test it. Again, it's some buyer absorption here. That's good. Right on top of the seller absorption. Oil is getting a little below its consolidated range. It's down at $91 a barrel now. No new news updates. Nope. So this is the first time we've had buyers absorb in a while. Since yesterday at 3:30 during the US CAS session. So the volume that's coming in at 390 for a brief moment held up price. Now it's trying to push things back down yet once again. $386, $391, $392. Our last of the sellers is here at $392. You break this $392, we start to have a pretty bullish case. Right? I like the volume that's now coming in at 390 was previously bearish, is now flipped bullish. You're getting pretty good absorption here at the lows. Right? I think we now potentially test the highs. Right? Now I like longs better on the high side of 390. Right? And you can't get back into this 390. Things that make you go, I mean, we broke this low absorption, had buyer absorption on the other side. You tried to get out of value, volume comes back in. I don't want to get really left behind, but I also don't want to chase, right? Taking a transaction here on a POC in a very tight consolidated range. If this is right now, it's like, fuck you, we're going, bro. Fuck you. All right, because this is the area that we're really looking to be broken. All right, so we had some buyers. I mean, I like longs at 392.5. So sellers absorbing. They're kind of in the same place they were absorbing earlier. Now we're coming at the low volume area of 390 from the top side. Right? So we want to see volume resistance in here. Buyer at 394.25. More buyer absorption coming in. Kind of flashes of it. We're trying to break this level here. Oil is below its consolidated range. Right? Yep. Tried to make a move higher. Didn't do it. Failed. Quickly rejected. So oil's moving down. S&Ps are now moving up. NQ moving up pretty quickly now. Dow is lagging behind. Dow doesn't want to move up right now. Nor does the Russell. And silver's just rocking. Silver's up 6% today. Wasn't it up like 5% yesterday? And this is now just getting fucking annoying. This is dumb. I'm not chasing this up here. Right? Leave me behind. I don't care. I'm not getting behind this. I want a retest of something. Retest 392 or something. The swing highs at 392. That would be ideal. But maybe even just like this POC. Main volume comes in at the POC, list price. Volume kind of comes in towards the highs, barely get above it. Volume comes in the highs, now pushing you back down. But it's going to be the test of this range, the top of this range right here, where all the seller consolidation was. I mean, not huge prints, but enough prints. And then eventually you're going to have to clear 7,400. So I think this bullishness is just being led by NQ right now. All the tech stocks. I'm not going to go look up individual tech stocks, but that's what the impression you get is, right? Because Dow's down, Russell's down, NQ's up, and then S&Ps are just kind of flat overall on a percentage basis from yesterday's close. Oil's still kind of trying to move down. I don't like this volume that's coming in here and that you're failing to close above it. Right outside value. But it's not quickly rejecting by any means. You did not quickly reject the out of value area. Right? All the sellers are now underwater. Last seller was at 392. That's the area I would like a retest of. I would like a retest of the POC. I don't think it's a short here. Right? Because we're fighting the overall bullish trend if we're trying to short this. Like, I only like the ideas of longs. Now is the question of where can you get a good long at? The best longs are going to be at the value area low in the POC, not the value area high, especially in a tight distributive range that we have. Right? We're getting the impression today, because there's no Iran war updates, that this is just going to be a balanced consolidated range today, waiting for clarity with that memo. So that would favor range trades out of value back to the POC at 392. But because the trend is overall bullish, you don't want to really do it on the sell side. You want to do it on the buy side, just in the off chance that this thing just, again, takes off. Right? So we're not, even though we're failing to get back into value here, right? There's a part of you that wants to put something on right here, but now you got the value area moving up. So ideally, it's going to be somewhere down here that you get long, not up here. I'd rather chase an ideal entry. Getting signs of buyer absorption at the highs. Last buyer was still at 395, 394 and a quarter. I'm sorry, 394 and a quarter. Last seller was at 386.50. 392. High 392 seller. Read your data right, asshole. Right, this is kind of what you're looking for, because you're really on the top side of this ledge now at 395. There is a very well-defined ledge at 395 that was left yesterday. I feel like that should be a pretty good reference point for us, and it's on top of this absorption. Volume that's coming in here is pushing you back down. This was previously out of value, but the value area has now moved up, and so you didn't really get out of value based on this now form distribution. Volumes coming in at the highs and pushing you back down towards the POC. No large transactions. All large transactions on crude have been selling today. Hardly any buyers. NQ grinding up. Dow is just killing itself. Russell is getting lower, but it's holding for a moment. If NASDAQ reverses today, then everything's fucked. But I mean, look at this. Look at this rejection of the POC that you're kind of eyeing, right? You're kind of eyeing this. Right? So, and we're on top of things that make you go, because we're on top of this range now, this 395 ledge. Right? I am just going to put a quarter piece on here at 395 and a quarter, right? Just for all this volume's coming in. I'll allow it to wick this, but after I'm out at 391. Like, he should quickly kind of reject this. I don't think he would actually even come back down into here, honestly. Like, I wonder if we can See, this is the part, right? It's not the analysis of getting into the trade that I struggle with. It is the trade management. Okay, where do you place the initial stop? Well, in order flow and auction theory, you probably should have tighter stops, right? And then just try more often rather than have very loose stops and try less often. But I like that we're absorbing here. We got buyer absorption, failed to retake the POC, right? We were looking for long spots. We were speculated somewhere in here. Our entry here at 395 and a quarter is not the greatest. I would like it down at 392. But this happened pretty quickly. We're on top of the absorption range. Buyers are absorbing at higher prices. Sellers are losing their levels. We're on top of this range. All the sellers are now underwater at 392. Right, that's the highest seller was at 392. I mean, you want to move away though, right? This is supposed to be a quick rejection. If this is quickly rejected, you want continuation now. You don't want to be held up here at 395 in this ledge. So just a quarter piece at 395 and a quarter on the potential for this to do a little breakout. I mean, we have I think all the pieces that you would need to do so. This isn't very convincing seller absorption. You had pretty significant buyer absorption here. You failed to retake the POC. You're on top of the seller absorption, right? All the large institutional orders are now on your side, right? The last high seller was at 392. He's underwater, right? I think we have enough for a bullish trade here. The question is, where are we wrong? We're probably definitely wrong at 391. I wouldn't want to see this really get taken out without a quick rejection. Fed's hammock, Fed signal on next move being a cut is misleading. Yeah, I know, because now I think the market's pricing in a rate rise, which is horrendous. So crude is still breaking down. It left that consolidated range. Let's just peek on it real quick. All right, it's left that consolidated range. Now it's breaking down a little bit. Volume comes in and continues to push lower. That should be bullish for equities. But if you don't quickly reject here, right? If you don't get some volume to come in here and close above it, we're done with the trade. We're just going to exit manually right here because we're potentially going to get a better entry lower now. Right? Scratch it. All right, so we'll scratch that one right below the entry. Watch it now just fucking take off, you asshole. Yeah, it's like I shouldn't have done that. Because now that is quick rejection, right? Fuck it. Get back in on a terrible entry. All right, this is a pretty quick rejection. It just doesn't look like that because of the time in which it happened relative to where this bar opened and closed. Right, an engulfing bar is the same thing as a wick. Yeah, this is a area of interest for someone. This 395, all this volume that's coming in and is overlapping right here, this is absolutely of interest to someone. Oh my god. Oh, we don't even have a stop in, folks. That was crazy. I'll put it in now. Moron. Well, so let's check the news. Nothing. I don't see anything. That was a pretty quick rejection though, right? I'm gonna buy a little more. Tight stops. Yeah, tighten the stops. So average is 395 a quarter. Stops 391 after this quick rejection. I don't see what that was. What time did this happen at? 10:15. News is updated to 10:6. U.S. to sanction Iraqi official over Iranian oil sales. Yeah, that's not it. I wonder if it was part of the Fed speak. I don't know. Some sellers coming in. Man, don't stop me, please. Don't stop me. Maybe do like 388 on a piece of it. Because I mean, this is pretty wide range here. Yeah, I don't know. Just keep rejecting this POC and we won't have to worry about it, yo. But I don't see if there was like a headline or anything that just caused that. Hey, I want to do part of the stop at like 389, but I feel like I just rather re-enter. I mean, this doesn't seem bearish, right? Doesn't seem bearish at all. Still no signs of any sort of headline that caused that injection of volatility. And the fact that we've now resisted this 390 low volume area pretty significantly, right? You had a little test down here, rejected it, had this big volume move down, rejected it. Like, honestly, the stop needs to be below 390, ideally. 389 and then 391 on this one. Yeah, I think that's okay. Because what I'm trying to not have happen is another pop down that gets quickly rejected. All right, you see how this is like just gradually decreasing? This is not a quick rejection of highs. This is a quick rejection of lows. You just now had more buyer absorption flash in. You had a little bit of seller absorption flash in here. And you're kind of holding this now key distribution level. At least you're trying to. No large sells have come in. Oil is just not really doing anything. I don't think there's any predictive value out of oil right now. I mean, you had a tight consolidating range coming into the open, did a little pop up, rejected it fairly quickly, and now you're just settling back down below the previous consolidated range. So who the fuck knows? So want volume to lift this. Let's get out of here, please. Let's go. What you don't want to see. So like the exit of this trade. Like ideally, so what we want to see is a breakout volume built somewhere and you hold the low volume in between. That's the most ideal scenario. What you really don't want here and what will scratch our trade is if we get out of volume comes in and quickly snaps us back into value. With this type of volume, I don't see how that happens. But again, we can predict a lot about the markets and then never have any of it happen. So let's just let some volume come in. I still see no fucking headlines. NASDAQ still running higher. Dow moving lower. Russell tried to turn around but didn't. It's the Dow that's dragging everything down, the industrials. I mean, tech's trying to lift, but that's only part of the equation. So, I mean, like right there, like again, we were talking about like, that's probably not what you want to see. A quick rejection of the highs with the volume. You want to stay above the volume though, guys. Come on. Right. So this is the volume that really pushes you out. So we can tighten some risk, I think. Right. Just because of what's happening here. Coming down to 393. I mean, would potentially just be another entry, right? Like you'd almost want to stop it at 395 and a quarter that your entry is at, and then just get in lower again. But this wasn't a very good rejection of the high. This was sellers meeting you, but not really taking the initiative to push you back down into value of where this volume came in. Now, if the volume comes in here and you close like down here in value right now, we're absolutely getting the fuck out of this trade. And this just isn't going to be our play. NASDAQ, it seems like it's just doing its thing. It's just running. But without the Dow coming in behind it, yeah, that's not what you want to see, folks. Not what you wanted to see. Scratch. Scratched out at 395. And I think our average was what, 395 and a quarter. So good read. Good fucking read. Yeah, that's not what you wanted to see happen right there at all. So now the question is, so we have this ledge here at 395. We try to break above it. You can't. You're now falling back below it. NASDAQ's retreating a little bit. Dow is just getting fucking destroyed. Now Russell is also following suit. Yeah. So you get a little divergence in what the equity markets are telling you here. Tech is bullish, but everything else is bearish. So now you're just ended up with flat S&Ps. This is a non-trend type situation. It's just not working. If NASDAQ reverses, it'll send everything bearish. If Dow and Russell turn bullish, it'll, you want all these things to be kind of aligned. They're out of whack right now. Right? Where this volume came in was concerning, especially this one. Then you're not quickly getting back out of value. It's just not bullish, right? We tried for a bullish break and the rejection of the POC in this 390 low volume area, and you just didn't get it. You tried, you just didn't get it, and so we got out pretty much at break even. Crude just cannot find any legs this morning. It's just not doing anything. It's just there. It's a non-factor this morning. So volume coming in, trying to lift you back out of value. All right, well, being led by the NASDAQ. Russell's trying to turn around. Volume coming in at the highs. I mean, this is a pretty quick rejection of the highs. All right, volume's coming in at the highs. All this activity is on the offer. This is not great. I don't want to do a reversion trade. I don't. No major news or anything. Hammock is still speaking somewhere. Doesn't seem to be real much of a factor. Maybe this is because of his speech. I don't know. I don't know who he is, and I don't know how relevant he is to discussions. So let's see what happens when we come back out of value again. Do you get the same result that you just got here? Volume comes in and he quickly snaps you back in. Because you failed to make it back down towards the POC again. No signs of absorption on either side. No large transactions. Oh, actually, there was one at 394 and a half for 125. So there's been a couple large transactions at 394s, 394 and a quarter and 394 and a half. Staying above those helps the bullish case. Volume that's coming in here at the value area high is not pushing you down. That's pretty bullish, right? But I don't like this spot. I don't. And it would be better if, you know, the Dow was cooperating, but it's just in this straight downtrend this morning. So you have NASDAQ in pretty much a straight uptrend. You have the Dow in a straight downtrend. Russell's flat. And then now, as a result, ES is absolutely flat. Oh, so there's nothing to do, folks. Nothing to do. Just sit, wait. I mean, the fact that you're hanging up here at the value area high and not quickly rejecting, you're doing this little fucking slow grind down again. Like, it just keeps giving you the impression like the market wants to pop yet once again. But I don't know how we do that if you don't get the rest of the equity markets to follow suit. Is tech just going to lift everything all by itself? It could. And we could absolutely just have been wrong, right? To be spooked by this. All this volume is coming in here. It's a lot of volume coming in at one level. This is this is crazy. But I mean, this is a pretty clean ledge here, folks. Like, I feel like that's a pretty complete auction. But there is this kind of conspicuous low volume area on the weekly at 395. Right where you're at now, right in 396. Which I got to imagine was just developed today then. Crude's trying to reverse up. S&Ps are absolutely struggling here. Just not making it out of value. NASDAQ's holding, Dow's down, Russell's down. POC is now moved up, but we're still hanging out kind of near the value area highs. The ranges are very much narrowed now. You can't even do a mean reversion trade in here. It's just so tight. Like, you could, but your stop needs to be just like right on top of your entry. That's not fun trading, folks. That's not fun trading. Crude. Maybe trying to make it back into this previous consolidated range and hold this volume here at 90.75. Volume came in at the highs, push you down. Volume now coming in at the lows. I mean, this is a pretty good reference point here. This 97.5 and this swing high. You're on top of seller absorption. NASDAQ does look like it's now thinking about reversing. And Dow, that's funny. Now, someone needs to call the equity markets and tell them to get on the same fucking page today, because as soon as NASDAQ starts coming down, the Dow starts going up and the Russell starts going up. Like, if you got all three of those going up, we're fucking just going moonshot today. But S&Ps look pretty weak right now. All right, you're now back below this level. Things that make you go, I don't want to short this. Based on you're hanging out, this is not a quick rejection. You're lacking so many order flow signals for you telling you to be the short. But I mean, yeah, it kind of looks weak. But Russell's moving up. Dow's kind of moving up. I mean, this is good absorption at the level you wanted absorption. You're not breaking down. If Dow and the Russell are now turning around a little bit, you're trying to reject getting below the POC. You're hanging out at this high volume node at 395. And you're really... All right. Decision time, folks. Decision time. Man, it's 395. Or are all buying 394, 397. Buy it. All right, I'll put it on at 395.50. Like, you're not coming down here again. If you do, so 393 stop. Keep it tight. I want to break away though. All right, this is just on the... I'm not going to say a hopeful, but I think the probable scenario is that there potentially is a range extension to the high side. All right, so this is the play. We're playing for a range extension, not a breakout, really, I don't think. Right, so you do have Dow turn around, Russell is turned around, NASDAQ is pulled back, but now looks like it may want to continue higher. Right, so now equities are kind of speaking the same language, at least they're trying to. Crude is held flat around 91 after the little pop-up, but it's still below the opening consolidated range. Get some signs of seller absorption, but this hangout here near the value area high, right? There's no quick rejections. The rejections are down here at the lows. I mean, you gotta NASDAQ's gotta resume its trend though. So I'm gonna keep my eyes on a NASDAQ chart for just a second, because if NASDAQ starts falling down, it's gonna drag S&Ps. Dow and the Russell aren't enough to lift it. And I haven't watched NASDAQ over the past couple of weeks, so I'm not exactly sure where it is relative to everything else in the world in terms of, like, you know, prior distributions, low volume areas, high volume areas. But this kind of flat top we've got going here, I think is just pretty bullish. Right, again, signs of... Right, you're at swing highs, right? This are swing highs, and you notice how there's just like absolutely no rejection of this at all. And like, I kind of... NASDAQ is now going to continue, or at least it tried for a second. Oh my God, fucking Dow just shit its pants. Dow was shitting his pants. Volume came in. Oh, that was terrible development right there. Why do you do this to me, bro? All right. And we only live once. Put on another piece. Tight stops. You don't want the volume coming in here at the high and holding you down, buddy. Come on. All right. Dow's holding. Russell's holding. NASDAQ is trying. NASDAQ is the problem right now, like always. But if you don't get a breakaway from this quickly here, Like if this doesn't happen soon, like what more consolidation compression do you need here, honestly? Lots of buyer absorption here. Like we have all the ingredients, folks. Now just bake me the cake. Bake me the cake. Let's go. Let's fucking go, bitch. And just the longer it does this, the weaker the story gets. Right? We're just dude, you can't get outside the value area high, you bastard. Right? You have mostly a bullish scenario here. It's just like where is now the move up, right? This is Nasdaq just done for the day. Sellers coming in at the highs. Just give, oh my lord, that is some seller absorption right there that you saw for a second. Break that guy. Break him. Four. Yeah, I'm okay with the tight stops here. This is the one area that I really need to work on my trading is like how trade management. Right, I don't really have any set rules for how I move stops or how I take profits or even where I set the stops. And because I'm so analytical and because I watch like every single candle, it's just like I'm very prone to being stopped out. Lots of absorption at 398. They threw some huge size at 398 and it all got absorbed. Holy fuck. That is crazy, guys. I mean, you break him, watch the magic happen. NASDAQ is running higher. Dow's trying to hold. Russell's still gradually moving up. Go, let's go. Come on. Let's go. Do your thing, baby. Just break. Oil's flat. Oil's not fucking going anywhere or doing anything. This 398 is your level now. Anything below that is crazy. 7,400 buyer. All right, so stops all to 396.50. All right, protect profits. This 398 should absolutely hold things. If it doesn't, the trade's over. That was so much size thrown at through, and it all got absorbed, and then you broke above it. Right? Look at all the large institutional buyers. Sellers are underwater. Last seller was at 392. Right? Never made it back below. He's fucked. He's covering. They're all covered. Now let's go. Let's run. Let's run. Aye. They're making you work for it, man. They're really making you work for it. Nasdaq's doing pretty good. Dow, I mean, it's trying to find a bottom. Russell is slowly grinding higher. Oil's not doing anything, so oil's a non-fucking factor right now, which is good. But we want to make some separation. We want a clean, low volume area here, right? I mean, we're hopeful that there's some sort of like melt up here or some sort of break to the upside again, but we have to be careful, right? Because this could just be a consolidated range somewhere, right? I just want to slowly move my stops just a little bit higher. Volume coming in at 7,400, right? This is going to be a pretty significant level. But I still want to hide behind this 398. That's where I want to hide for now. Because potentially that offers support here. And we don't get back below that. So stops at 397.50 and then 397. You get stopped out. You get stopped out, folks. But we have to protect against the potential for a balanced range day, right? You had a pretty decent trend day yesterday. A lot of times you follow that up with balance, not another trend day. But I'm keeping my eye. I mean, Dow is trying. It really is. Like it's putting forth its best effort right now. Russell is grinding higher. Nasdaq is retreating a little bit, but still kind of maintaining its trend. Lots of volume coming in here at 400, kind of holding you down. I don't see signs of seller absorption yet, right? So what's going to get me out of this trade, this long trade, is when I see something that says like, hey, you should actually sell here. This isn't really it, right? Buyer absorption. I mean, maybe a part of me wants to take some off at 7,400 where all this volume's coming in at such a key significant level, but you're not very quickly rejecting these highs, right? But you're also not quickly rejecting this little volume area either. So maybe we just now are, what we originally were talking about, potential for this trade was just a slight range extension. It wasn't an actual like breakout. Because NASDAQ, despite its original attempts to break, has now just slowed. And if NASDAQ's going to fall back down, it's all over. But you're not quickly rejecting here. The volume that's coming in is still holding things, right? Lots of buyers at 7,400. Lots of buyers at 7,400. Lots of buyers at 398 that originally got held up. And now there's more buyers at 7,400. One of them got held up. So if we get a move away from 7,400, that becomes the new protective level and not 398. But you want to get above 7,400 here. It looks good. It looks somewhat bullish. But we've got several things that aren't exactly working all in your favor. And part of that is the sluggishness of the Dow and the Russell, right? Which are now looking like they're not interested in going any higher. And NASDAQ is just teetering. So you want to see a volume injection here, right? We need some volume to come in and lift this out. There's no initiative on behalf of sellers here to take things lower. They're just responding, right? So just responsive sellers, if you push them hard enough, give up. But let's break 7,400. I want to move my stop to like 399. But I want to break away from 400. I don't just want to like close right here. All right, I want to push away from 400. Push away. Push. NASDAQ is trying to climb again. Dow is falling. Russell hanging. Crude flat. I'm just kind of where this one closed. I mean, I already want to put the one stop at 399. Yeah, we can hide behind 400 now, I think. What time is it? Where's my clock, fuckers? It's 10:45. Yeah, you can hide everything behind 400 now. Good. All right, keep it going. Keep it going. Let's not strangle this too much. But I also don't want this to just retrace the fucking whole way on me, you know? Like, you got a pretty good trade put on right now. Yeah, I don't think you can move the stop above 399. I mean, you can make an argument for 400, right? Because you now break in 400. I wouldn't suspect you come back and test 400. Right, so how about a piece at 400 and a piece at 399? NASDAQ is getting higher. Dow is getting higher. Russell's getting higher. Everyone's getting high today, except for crude, which is a good thing. Get you high today, Smokey. So what was the overnight swing highs? I'm not going to be able to tell from this chart, am I? How about this chart? All right, overnight swing highs from 3 in the morning were at 410 and 408. Sellers being absorbed. I mean, buyers being absorbed. Where's NASDAQ at? NASDAQ, again, is doing its whole teetering thing. But Dow looks better. I mean, is this a short? No, it's not a short. All right, so let's stay with it. The problem is, I think, NASDAQ right now. What if NASDAQ turns into a potential short? Quickly. Volume at the highs. I mean, not overwhelmingly bullish order flow, huh? Oh, what are you doing? Where are you going? Where are you going? All right, so out of piece at 400. 400 should have been protected. Yeah, so now we're out. Okay, good trade. Decent. Yeah, then NASDAQ reversed. So that dragged everything. And Russell's come back down a little bit. Dow's trying it, but it's like, doesn't look like an uptrend. So now there's potential for a reversal on S&Ps, I think. It's 1050. We're not going to trade it. That was a pretty decent trade that we had. We had to potentially allow this to hold 400 and continue higher, right? Which it kind of did. But NASDAQ has kind of reversed its trend a little bit. It looks like NASDAQ's heading down, so that's going to drag S&Ps with it. So we have to keep that in mind. Despite that, you came right back down to 7,400 and you wicked it, but all this volume that came in at 403 just like immediately pushed you down. NASDAQ reversed its trend. So like you still have some bullish order flow here, right? You're failing to get back into value. So, I mean, if you still have a piece on, keep it, sure. But what the NASDAQ just did is not going to fucking help you whatsoever. So until NASDAQ turns around and resumes the upward trend, I don't think you can be bullish on this. Yeah, I think the NASDAQ just dropped. It broke like its previous consolidated range, and now it's coming up on underneath of it. All right, that's not bullish. That's pretty bearish. So, and right, this wasn't a breakout. Right, you didn't add a ton of volume, break, leave a very clean low volume area, add a ton of volume. Like this was just a range extension, and so we got out of it what we were looking for, the range extension. And as soon as it started to revert its extension, we got the fuck out. So good. Works for me. All right, I think we're going to cut today's session done early. I got to work on my baseball roster for tonight's game and do some other things around the house. But I mean, it's a pretty decent trade for this morning, so I'm pleased. All right, God bless you. Hope you all have a great day. I will see you tomorrow morning for Friday.